Welcome back, everybody, to part 2 of this worksheet on our subnet planning worksheet. As I promised you, we were going to end up with a very similar looking table, but we're going to have different items that were asked for. Before, in the previous worksheet, we gave you the total bit counts subnet bit counts were given to us, and we had to figure out the rest of the information. Now we're going to look at more what you're going to run into in the real world is when you're going to see an actual subnet address, or you might see the total host, or a boss might come to you and say, hey, look, we've got this class B network. I want you to divide it into 38 total networks. Can you do that for me? Or we have 73 people on our network. Design a network so that you can have 80, stuff like that. Those are the type of scenarios that you're actually going to run into in the real world. So this worksheet's going to have a better opportunity to explain to you and show you and demonstrate to you how we can get that information extrapolated from this data. So if you bear with me here, we're going to go through this. Let me get my, my trusty dry erase pen, and we're going to start off with exercise number 1. So exercise number 1, here we are, 220. Right out of the gate, we know we have a class C address because it fits in this range right here. So we're going to put that bad boy in. But unlike in the last worksheet, we have no idea how many bits were borrowed. Or do we? Okay? We come over here and we'll say, all right, we need to have 16 total subnets. 16 total networks need to be created to make this work. So if we take a look, I don't have the table on the right hand side, but I do have it on the bottom here for you. So this number right here, 16, it's 2 to the 4th. Me personally, I want to go a little old school here, but that's okay. So it's a class C address. So by default, I have a 255 and a 255 and a 255 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 zeros is my default subnet mask. Want to make sure it's all fitting in the screen there. Okay, so it says I need 16 total networks created. That's 2 to the 4th. So that means I gotta borrow 4 bits to make this guy work. So let's turn on these first 4 bits. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I didn't borrow 4, I borrowed 4. Get it? Okay? So that means I'm going to borrow 4 bits. And by default, okay, so then I had 24 originally. 24 plus 4 last time I checked gives me a /28. Okay? My subnet mask now goes to a 255.255.255, which we said was our default. I borrowed 4, that's the 128, the 64, the 32, and the 16. That equals 240. Okay? I also, based on the rules, didn't borrow 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 to the 4th is also 16. So I made 16 total networks. Can't use the first one, can't use the last, because the first one is a network number, the last one is a broadcast number. So that means I have a total of 14 usable hosts on each one of those networks. Perfect. Right? Another one we're going to do here, another class C network right out of the gate. It wants 3 total networks. 3 total networks. The 4 covers the 3. Okay? You're never going to have, you'll rarely have exactly what you need, okay? Unless you're choosing something within the powers of 2. So 2 to the 2nd, okay? 2 to the 2nd is 4, covers my 3, okay? So I'm going to borrow 2 to the 2nd. I'm going to borrow 2 bits, okay? That's going to take me from a 24 to a 26. My new subnet mask is going to be 255.255.255. Okay, the 128 plus 64, 192. Okay, hope everybody's got that. The total number of bits that I didn't borrow in this one, I didn't borrow those 2 bits. Okay? So I have 2 bits on the end. I'm sorry, that's incorrect. I borrowed 2 bits, so I didn't borrow 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's move these closer. It's confusing. Okay, 7, 8. So I didn't borrow 6 bits. 2 to the 6 is 64. Minus 2, 62. Okay? 223, the last number in my Class C range. Okay? This one here, it doesn't tell me how many networks I need to create. What they're saying is they need to have 30 hosts on each one of their networks. So they want to make sure that there are 30 hosts on each network. That means in this case here, I'm going to be looking at how many bits I don't borrow, how many bits are remaining, okay? So to hit 30, I gotta have 5 bits remaining, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, turn the other bits on, okay? So now I have 3 bits. See the ones here? I have 3 bits that are remaining. So I'm going to borrow those 3 bits. My default subnet mask is 255.255. Wow, that was loud. 255, okay. 3 bits, 224. 3 plus 24 is a /27, similar to the one we have in our original example up there, right? That means I created 3 total, 2 to the 3rd, I created 8 total networks, okay? I have 32 total hosts on each one of those 8 networks, 30 usable, okay? Here it's just a matter of kind of working backwards and placing zeros on the right-hand side as opposed to ones on the left-hand side. Jumping over here, we're going to go to a 191. It's right here in the last end of my Class B range. Would normally have a Class 16, a /16 here. So we're going to automatically going to have a 255.255. Okay? It's saying that it needs 100 networks. So we're going to come down here and we're going to see what number is going to cover that. Well, we have a 128, we have a 64, okay? So we're going to have to go with the 128, which means I'm going to have to borrow, okay, to get 100 networks, I'm going to have to borrow 7 bits. That's 2 to the 7th. So I'm going to need to borrow 7 bits, which makes my subnet mask 255.255.254, okay? This one's going to be a Class B. We're going to borrow 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and not borrow the last bit in the 3rd octet. Okay? Which means I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in the 4th octet we didn't touch, and 1 bit in the 3rd octet that we didn't touch. So that's 2 to the 9th. From down here, that's going to make a 512 total hosts, leaving me 510 hosts on each one of my 128 networks that I created. My CIDR notation here would normally have been a 16. 16 and 7 is a /23. Hope everybody's following along and getting all that. Let's jump down to number 5. It's a 132. Also inside of my Class B range. So let's make it a B. All right. And over here they're saying that we need 200 networks. Okay. Remember, your boss doesn't know anything about the IT world. He doesn't know that we work in binary. He says, I want to be ready for 200 different divisions on my network. Can you do that? Yes, sir, I can. Okay? So you're going to come over here, 8. 256 covers the 8, okay? So we're going to need to borrow 8 total bits, which is a nice, easy one, because that means I'm just going to borrow all of the third octet. You can't get any easier than that. My network's only go up by 1, okay? So that's going to be a /24. So in essence, what you created was a Class C network from a Class B. Make the Subnet mask will be a 255, 255, 255.0. Okay? How many bits didn't I borrow? Well, I didn't borrow anything from the 4th octet. So 2 to the 8th is 256. Minus 2, 254. Right? One more Class B. Okay? 128, beginning of my range here. Class B will be a default /16. All the way over here, it's saying I need to have 1,000 usable hosts. Okay? So that means that we would have to have 1,002 of total hosts. Down here, let me see past my cleaning supplies here. Okay, we have 1,024. It's 2 to the 10th. 2 to the 10th. That means I have to have 10 zeros. So let's come over here, take these last 2 ones out of the picture, and give ourselves 8 plus 2 makes us 10 zeros. Leave 6 ones in the 3rd octet. Okay, so that means I'm going to borrow 6 bits. Right? Which gives me my default of 255, 255, okay? Plus the 6, which gives me 252. Got 0. Those of you having a hard time with how I got 252 so quickly, okay? 128 plus 64 plus 32 plus 16 plus 4 plus 8, okay? Or I can sit there and say this entire thing is worth 255 points. Okay? This holder here was worth 1 point. This one here is worth 2 points. 2 plus 1 is 3. 255 minus 3 is 252. Okay? Now, what's my CIDR notation? What is my slash notation here? By default, I had 16. I borrowed 6 additional bits. 16 and 6 is a 22. Right? I borrowed 6. 2 to the 6th, okay, is 64. So I created 64 total networks. I have 1,024 hosts on each one of those networks. 1,022 are usable. My boss asked me for 1,000 usable. Okay? I think I covered what he needed. Wouldn't you agree? Exactly. So, let's go a little bit different. Let's mix it up. Let's go with a Class A network. This is a 100, fits inside of my Class A range. So let's put that bad boy in there. We're going to have to change this up here a little bit so that we can have another set of zeros in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then a 255. Okay? We know that we need to have 1,000 total networks. 1,000 total, at least 1,000 total networks, right? We know that's 2 to the 10th, so we just did one above it on the host. but instead of having 10 zeros remaining, we're going to need to borrow 10 total bits. So let's do that. We're going to cross over here. So we're going to borrow 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 bits borrowed. That's what we said we needed, right? And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros in that octet. Okay? So now let's figure out our new subnet mask. By default, it was a 255. I borrowed all of the second octet. So if we take a look at that, if we borrowed all of those, that's also a 255. And then I borrowed 2 out of the third octet, which is 192. Okay? We borrowed 10 bits in total. Our now cider notation is 8 plus 8 plus 2, so I'm going to have a slash 18. Okay? I did not borrow 6 out of this one and 8 out of that one, which is 14. Which means I'm going to have 16,384. 16,384 total hosts on each one of my 1,024 networks. Usable, I'm going to have 16,382 usable hosts on each one of my 1,024 networks. If we get used to this, if we get used to the pattern, we learn how to do it, it becomes easy. Okay, it becomes very easy. Let's go ahead and take care of this last one. Okay, and then this entire worksheet will be done for you. Then we'll come back and we're going to do these subnet problems where you're going to have a scenario to work on. I'm going to do the first one for you, then you guys are going to do the rest. Okay? But that'll be another part. This is the Class A network. It's a 125. This one wants 4,000 hosts on the network, which means that's how many zeros I'm going to have. So we're going to come over here. I'm going to have 12 zeros. That's not that bad. That means the last octet I don't touch. That's 8, and then half of the third. Let's go ahead and create that for us. So now I've got 8 and 4 equals 12. Okay, because I had to leave 12 bits in order for me to get my 4,000. Make sense? That means the rest are all going to be network bits, network and sub-network bits, really. Okay? So it's going to be 255, 255, 240. Not 0. So it's going to be 255, 255, 240. Let me make that a little bit better. Let's make an X. Dot 0. That means I borrowed, okay, 8 out of here, 4 out of here. That's 12. 12 and 8 are slash 20. Borrowed 12 bits. Okay. I also have 12 bits that I didn't borrow. So this part gets really easy. It's kind of redundant, right? So I created 4,096 total networks. I also created 4,096 total hosts on each one of those networks, and I have 4,094 usable hosts on each one of those, which covers what my boss asked me to get, which was 4,000. Okay? You just can't go under it. You can be open. You want to maximize everything. Okay. So with that being said, that completes a subnet planning worksheet for you. Hope you guys did as well as we have it here in our demonstration. Next up will be subnet problems.